13 Benefits of Solitude. Advantages of the Lonely Stoic. Stoicism. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. Marcus Aurelius. Have you ever thought that solitude is something to fear? Think again. Solitude isn't the enemy society makes it out to be. In fact, it's one of the greatest strengths you can cultivate. The philosophy of Stoicism and modern psychology reveal that embracing loneliness can be the key to revitalizing your mental and emotional energy. Imagine being in complete control of your time, free from distractions or outside judgments. Sounds empowering, doesn't it? Solitude allows you to build a deeper connection with the most important person in your life, yourself. Stick around, and let's explore how solitude can become your greatest tool, not only for inner peace, but also to enhance your relationships, spark creativity, and boost your overall well-being. In this video, I've broken down 13 powerful benefits of solitude, each supported by studies and rooted in Stoic wisdom. Get ready to reshape how you view alone time, turning it from something you avoid into a source of strength and growth. Before we dive in, if you find value in this content, make sure to subscribe to Stoic in Your Life and hit the bell icon to stay updated on future videos. 1. Regulates our energy. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. When we think of solitude, we often associate it with isolation, but that perception couldn't be further from the truth. For men aged 30 to 65 who are diving into the world of Stoicism, understanding the benefits of solitude is crucial. Solitude, when embraced with the right mindset, becomes a tool for growth, self-discovery, and immense personal power. It's not just about being alone, it's about taking control of your own energy. One of the greatest advantages of solitude is its ability to regulate our energy. In a world that demands constant social interaction, whether in the workplace, at home, or in social circles, it's easy to feel drained, both mentally and physically. Solitude offers an opportunity to recharge, to disconnect from the noise and pressures of everyday life, and to regain the balance we often lose. When you step away from external distractions, you create the space to restore your mental and emotional batteries. As the great Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By taking time to be alone, you can stop wasting your energy on things that don't serve you and focus on what truly matters. Solitude is also an opportunity for reflection, which in turn helps regulate your energy. Many of us live in a state of constant reaction, reacting to emails, calls, family needs, or societal pressures. But the Stoics teach us that life should be more than a series of reactions. It should be about intentional action. When you allow yourself moments of solitude, you gain the clarity needed to step back from this reactive mode and instead choose how you expend your energy. Think of your mind as a glass of water. When it's constantly shaken by outside forces, it becomes cloudy. But when left undisturbed, it clears up, revealing the purity within. This clarity allows you to make better decisions, focus on what matters, and stop letting external forces dictate your life. You control the energy within, and solitude helps you master that control. Solitude also provides a chance to detox from emotional overload. Imagine you're a sponge that absorbs everything around you, other people's problems, societal expectations, the daily stresses of modern life. After a while, that sponge becomes saturated and can no longer absorb anything new. This is what happens when you don't take time to reset. Solitude allows you to squeeze out the excess, freeing your mind from unnecessary emotional baggage. As Epictetus taught, people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. By being alone, you can better process your own thoughts and feelings, reducing the emotional toll that life's constant interactions can have on you. In modern life, the importance of solitude cannot be overstated, especially for men in the age range of 30 to 65. These years are often filled with responsibilities, career pressures, family obligations, social expectations, and the constant demand to always be on. But solitude offers a way to pause, to retreat for a moment and regain perspective. It's not about avoiding your responsibilities, but about ensuring that you approach them with a full tank of energy and a clear mind. Without moments of solitude, you risk burnout. You risk losing sight of your values, your purpose, and ultimately yourself. In solitude, you also gain an opportunity to build emotional resilience. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to be swept up in the stress of everyday life. But by embracing solitude, you learn to find peace within yourself, independent of external circumstances. Solitude teaches you to be comfortable in your own company, and in doing so, you strengthen your inner resolve. You become less dependent on the opinions or validation of others. This is a crucial aspect of Stoicism, learning to be unaffected by the external world and focused on your internal state. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Solitude gives you the time to refine those thoughts, to ensure that you're not being swayed by outside influences and that your actions align with your core values. Furthermore, solitude enhances your creativity. Some of the greatest minds in history, artists, philosophers, inventors, have all valued solitude as a time for deep thinking and innovation. Without the constant noise of the world, your mind is free to wander, to make connections it otherwise wouldn't have, and to explore ideas that get buried under the weight of daily interactions. Studies show that creativity thrives in solitude because it allows your mind to enter a flow state where distractions are minimized and you can fully engage with your thoughts. It's no wonder why so many creative geniuses, from Albert Einstein to Nikola Tesla, credited their alone time as the source of their breakthroughs. When you embrace solitude, you unlock your mind's full potential to think deeply, creatively, and without limits. Solitude also plays a critical role in improving decision-making. When you're constantly surrounded by people and external stimuli, it's hard to hear your own voice. You might make decisions based on what others think or expect from you, rather than what's truly best for your own life. But when you step into solitude, you quiet all the noise and gain the clarity needed to make decisions that align with your values and long-term goals. As the Stoics believed, self-control and reason are key to living a good life. Solitude gives you the time to reflect on your decisions, ensuring that they are thought out and intentional rather than impulsive. It's during these moments of solitude that you can critically assess your actions and make adjustments that will benefit your future. Lastly, solitude helps you cultivate gratitude. When we're constantly moving, constantly interacting, it's easy to take the simple things in life for granted. But in solitude, we slow down, and in that stillness, we begin to appreciate life's small pleasures, the warmth of the sun, the sound of the wind, the quiet moments that go unnoticed in our busy lives. By taking time to be alone, you learn to appreciate the present moment, which, in turn, enriches your life and helps you find contentment. As Seneca reminds us, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Solitude teaches us that we already have so much to be grateful for if we just take the time to notice. 2. Helps with reflection. Have you ever found yourself caught up in the noise of everyday life, rushing from one task to another, without ever pausing to think? You might not even realize it, but that constant hustle prevents you from truly reflecting on the things that matter most to you. Solitude offers us something that is increasingly rare in our fast-paced world, an opportunity for deep reflection. When we allow ourselves moments of solitude, we step away from the whirlwind of obligations and distractions that bombard us every day. It is in these quiet moments that we can reflect on our thoughts, decisions, and lives as a whole. This isn't just about thinking for the sake of thinking. Reflection is about digging deep and assessing whether we are living in alignment with our true values and goals. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What color have your thoughts been lately? Solitude helps you identify that, It gives you the space to ask the important questions. Am I where I want to be? Am I doing what truly matters? Reflection is the first step toward clarity, and clarity is essential for growth. Without taking the time to reflect, it's easy to drift through life without ever understanding why we feel unfulfilled or uncertain. Solitude serves as a mirror that forces us to take a hard look at ourselves, away from the noise and expectations of others. Think about it. When was the last time you really took a moment to just sit with your thoughts? Not scrolling through social media, not answering emails, but really engaging with your own mind? Many people avoid these moments because they fear what they might find. But reflection is not something to shy away from. It's one of the most powerful tools you have to understand who you are and what you need. By spending time alone, you gain the opportunity to sort through your thoughts, allowing you to make sense of them rather than being overwhelmed by them. You start to see patterns in your behavior, connections between your actions and emotions, and you realize that your life is shaped by the way you think. Solitude is like a quiet room where you can hear the echoes of your inner world. These echoes, your thoughts, fears, and desires, become clearer, allowing you to address them head-on. And here's where a story comes in. Have you ever heard of a high-level executive who, after years of chasing success, suddenly realized he felt empty despite achieving everything he thought he wanted? This is a story of a man named John, who had spent years working 80-hour weeks, climbing the corporate ladder, and constantly striving for the next promotion. On the outside, he had it all: money, status, and the admiration of his peers. But deep down, he was restless. It wasn't until John decided to take a week off, retreat to a cabin far from the city, and sit in solitude that he finally understood why he felt so disconnected. In those quiet moments away from the office and his endless to-do list, John reflected on his life. He realized he had been chasing other people's definitions of success, not his own. He wasn't living according to his values. It was this realization that led him to make a drastic shift in his life, prioritizing time with his family and pursuing work that gave him a sense of purpose. Now, John's story isn't unique. Many of us are so focused on staying busy that we don't give ourselves the time to reflect on whether our busyness is leading us toward fulfillment or just burning us out. Solitude gives us the space to pause and ask the tough questions. What do I really want? What are my values? Am I living in accordance with them? These are questions we often avoid because the answers might force us to confront uncomfortable truths. But without confronting these truths, we remain stuck in cycles that don't serve us. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Reflection allows you to examine how you're reacting to life's challenges and whether those reactions align with your true self. Solitude also helps us process emotions. Think about all the times you've had a stressful day, and the only thing you wanted was to be alone for a while to clear your head. There's a reason for that. When we're constantly surrounded by people, noise, and demands, it becomes harder to process the emotions we're experiencing. In solitude, however, we can confront those emotions and work through them. It's like hitting the reset button. You allow your mind to breathe, to reflect, and to reset. This, in turn, helps you make better decisions, improve your emotional well-being, and gain a stronger sense of control over your life. In modern life, especially for men aged 30 to 65, this is crucial. These years often come with a unique set of pressures: career expectations, family responsibilities, and societal demands. Without taking time to reflect in solitude, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters and get swept up in external pressures. So, how can you start practicing reflection in solitude? Begin by carving out small pockets of time throughout your day where you can be alone with your thoughts, even if it's just 5 minutes. Maybe it's during your morning coffee or a quiet walk in the evening. Use these moments to reflect on your day. What went well? What didn't? What can you learn from it? And most importantly, how do you feel about it? These simple questions can have profound impacts on your sense of direction and well-being. As you build this habit, those moments of reflection will become more natural and more frequent, allowing you to continuously assess and realign with your values. Solitude is not something to fear or avoid. It's a tool for growth, for clarity, and for understanding yourself on a deeper level. Without moments of reflection, we risk living life on autopilot, drifting from one task to another without ever asking, "Is this what I truly want?" As you continue your journey of learning about Stoicism, remember that reflection is key to becoming the person you want to be. The next time you find yourself alone, instead of filling the silence with distractions, take a moment to reflect. You might be surprised by the clarity and direction you gain from it. After all, as Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What color are your thoughts today? 3. Strengthens empathy. Let's dive into the concept of empathy and how solitude strengthens it. When most people think of solitude, they often picture loneliness, isolation, and distance from others. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, one of the surprising benefits of spending time alone is that it strengthens our ability to empathize with others. At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive. How can being alone possibly help us connect better with others? The truth is that empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, is nurtured in moments of quiet reflection. Think about it. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, social media, or interactions with others, how much time do you actually spend reflecting on your own thoughts and emotions? Probably not much. Solitude gives you the space to tune into your own feelings, and by doing so, you become more aware of the emotions of those around you. As the famous philosopher Seneca said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." When you take the time to sit with your thoughts in solitude, you develop a deeper understanding of your own emotional landscape, which directly improves your ability to empathize with others. How can you possibly understand what someone else is going through if you haven't taken the time to reflect on your own experiences? Moreover, solitude offers the clarity needed to process and reflect on the interactions we have with others. When you're constantly in the presence of other people, it's easy to get swept up in the surface-level aspects of conversations. What was said, how it made you feel. But in solitude, you can dive deeper. You can reflect on why someone acted a certain way, why a conversation triggered a specific emotion in you, and what it tells you about the emotional states of those involved. This kind of introspection strengthens your empathy because it helps you see beyond the immediate situation and into the deeper motivations, struggles, and emotions of others. Do you ever find yourself in a conflict and wish you could better understand the other person's perspective? Solitude helps you bridge that gap. It's like pressing pause on the chaotic movie of life, so you can replay key moments and truly absorb the emotions, thoughts, and intentions behind them. In these quiet moments, empathy begins to grow. In our busy lives, empathy often takes a backseat to our own needs and desires. We rush through conversations, rarely pausing to consider the emotional world of the person in front of us. But solitude teaches us patience. Patience with ourselves and, by extension, with others. By giving yourself the time and space to reflect in solitude, you cultivate a sense of calm and mindfulness that allows you to engage with others in a more meaningful way. This calmness helps you slow down in your interactions and truly listen, which is at the heart of empathy. The Stoics, who were masters of self-control and emotional intelligence, understood this well. As Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Solitude sharpens your ability to listen, not just to words but to emotions as well, enabling you to form deeper, more empathetic connections with others. Another way solitude enhances empathy is by giving you the opportunity to recharge emotionally. Many of us, especially in modern life, are running on empty when it comes to emotional energy. We're constantly giving to others, at work, with family, and social situations, but without taking time for ourselves, we quickly burn out. And when you're emotionally drained, it's almost impossible to feel empathetic toward others. You simply don't have the emotional bandwidth. Solitude is like a mental and emotional reset button. It allows you to step back, recharge, and replenish your emotional reserves, making it easier to be present and empathetic when you're with others. Have you ever noticed how, after spending some time alone, you feel more patient, more understanding, and more in tune with the people around you? That's the power of solitude at work. By taking care of your emotional health, you're better able to care for the emotional needs of others. Furthermore, solitude helps build empathy by deepening your understanding of what it feels like to be alone. This personal experience with solitude makes it easier for you to recognize and empathize with others who might be feeling lonely, isolated, or misunderstood. As you become more comfortable with your own company, you begin to understand the emotional roller coaster that comes with being alone. The highs of self-discovery and reflection, but also the lows of feeling disconnected. This understanding makes you more attuned to the emotional needs of others, especially those who might be struggling with loneliness or a sense of isolation. Do you ever wonder what someone is going through when they withdraw or seem distant? Your own experience with solitude gives you the tools to recognize when someone else is in need of emotional support, even if they don't explicitly say it. Now you might be asking, how do I start using solitude to build empathy? It doesn't have to be complicated. Start by setting aside small moments each day where you can be alone with your thoughts, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes. Use this time to reflect on your interactions with others, paying close attention to the emotions that arise. Ask yourself, how did that conversation make me feel? Why did that person's words affect me in that way? What might they have been feeling in that moment? These simple questions can open the door to greater empathy. Over time, as you practice solitude and reflection, you'll find that your ability to empathize with others grows stronger. You'll start to notice subtle emotional cues in conversations, understand the unspoken needs of those around you, and offer support in ways that are meaningful and compassionate. Solitude is not a barrier to connection. Rather, it's a bridge that helps us connect more deeply with ourselves and others. By taking the time to reflect in solitude, we nurture our emotional health, develop a greater understanding of our own feelings, and in turn, strengthen our capacity for empathy. 4. Personal enjoyment. Let's take a deep dive into the concept of personal enjoyment through the lens of Stoicism and the benefits of solitude. For men aged 30 to 65 who are seeking growth, wisdom, and strength through Stoic principles, understanding how solitude can bring true enjoyment and fulfillment is essential. We live in a world that often equates enjoyment with constant external stimulation, whether it's socializing, technology, or entertainment. But true personal enjoyment comes from within, not from the distractions around us. This is where solitude comes in, offering a way to reconnect with ourselves, find joy in our own company, and rediscover the simple pleasures of life. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you remove the noise of the outside world and are left with just your thoughts, it forces you to focus on what truly brings you joy, rather than what society tells you should make you happy. Solitude allows for a deep sense of freedom from expectations, social pressures, and the need for external validation. It creates the space to engage in activities that genuinely bring you happiness without the need to explain or justify them to others. Have you ever had a weekend all to yourself, with no obligations, no meetings, and no one demanding your time? For many, this can feel uncomfortable at first because we're so conditioned to stay busy. But when you lean into solitude, you begin to appreciate how liberating it can be. It's an opportunity to pursue hobbies or passions that might not align with what others around you enjoy, but are deeply fulfilling for you. Whether it's diving into a good book, listening to music you love, or simply going for a walk in nature, solitude offers the chance to enjoy life on your own terms. This personal enjoyment is also tied to a deeper sense of self-awareness. When you spend time alone, you get to know yourself better. Without the influence of others, you are free to explore your own likes, dislikes, and desires. It's in these moments of solitude that you can ask yourself important questions. What makes me happy? What do I value? How do I want to spend my time? These reflections are key to finding lasting fulfillment because, as the Stoics teach us, true happiness comes from within, not from external circumstances. In the words of Seneca, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Solitude gives you the chance to live in the present, free from the distractions of what others think or expect from you. For example, let's consider a story from modern life. Take a man in his 40s, Mark, who is constantly juggling work, family, and social obligations. Every weekend is filled with gatherings, events, and obligations to others. He's constantly busy, and while it seems like he's living a full life, deep down, he feels disconnected and tired. One weekend, he decides to take a step back, cancels all his plans, and spends 2 days alone at a cabin in the woods. At first, the silence is overwhelming, and he feels uncomfortable without the constant busyness. But slowly, Mark begins to relax. He starts reading that book he's been putting off, takes long walks in the woods, and enjoys the simple pleasure of just being alone with his thoughts. By the end of the weekend, he feels rejuvenated and more in tune with himself than he has in years. This experience opens Mark's eyes to the value of solitude, and he begins to incorporate more alone time into his life. By doing so, he discovers a deeper level of personal enjoyment that comes not from the constant pursuit of external experiences, but from reconnecting with himself. This idea of personal enjoyment through solitude is something we can all relate to in today's hectic world. We often feel pressured to fill our time with activities and social engagements, thinking that this is what will make us happy. But, as the Stoics teach, sometimes the best way to find joy is to step away from the crowd and spend time alone. When was the last time you truly enjoyed your own company? Solitude offers you the opportunity to explore your own thoughts and interests without the distractions or judgments of others. You learn that personal enjoyment doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as having a quiet cup of coffee in the morning or spending time on a hobby you love. Moreover, solitude enhances creativity, which is another source of personal enjoyment. When you're alone, your mind has the freedom to wander, to dream, and to come up with new ideas without interruption. Many of the greatest thinkers, artists, and writers in history have spoken about the importance of solitude for creativity. It is in these moments of solitude that your mind can connect the dots in ways that it couldn't when bombarded by constant external input. Whether you enjoy writing, painting, or simply solving problems in your day-to-day life, solitude gives you the mental space to tap into your creative potential. As Albert Einstein once said, creativity is intelligence having fun. Solitude allows that creativity to flourish, giving you the chance to engage in activities that bring you true enjoyment. But personal enjoyment through solitude is not just about hobbies or creativity, it's also about finding peace. In solitude, you can escape the constant noise of modern life and find a sense of calm. Many people find meditation, deep breathing, or simply sitting in silence to be incredibly rewarding. These moments of stillness allow you to center yourself, reducing stress and anxiety. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Solitude helps you regain mastery over your mind and emotions, leading to a greater sense of peace and fulfillment. When you find joy in your own company, you no longer need to seek validation or excitement from the outside world. So, how can you start experiencing more personal enjoyment through solitude in your own life? Start by carving out small moments each day where you can be alone. This doesn't have to be hours of isolation, just 10 to 15 minutes of quiet time can make a big difference. Use this time to do something you enjoy, reflect on your thoughts, or simply relax. Over time, you'll find that these moments become a source of joy and fulfillment, and you'll start to crave them as a way to recharge and reconnect with yourself. The key is to embrace solitude as a gift, not a punishment. As the philosopher Blaise Pascal said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. By learning to enjoy your own company, you unlock a new level of personal satisfaction that can't be found in the busyness of the outside world. Thank you for being here and watching this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How has solitude positively impacted your own journey, and which benefit resonates with you the most? If you're unsure of what to comment, feel free to share something simple like, "Solitude helps me," or "I've learned so much about myself through moments of solitude." Now let's move to the next insight. 5. Improves personal performance. Let's talk about a powerful benefit of solitude that often gets overlooked: how it improves personal performance. In today's fast-paced world, filled with endless tasks, deadlines, and constant communication, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Many people think that being constantly connected and busy is the key to success, but in reality, solitude might be the missing piece you need to truly excel in life. Solitude offers you the mental space to focus, reflect, and refine your goals, which directly leads to improved performance in all areas of life, whether it's at work, in your personal projects, or even your physical well-being. When you're alone, without the distractions of social media, emails, or even the expectations of those around you, your mind has the chance to engage in deep, uninterrupted thought. You become more productive and efficient because your brain isn't constantly jumping from one thing to another. Have you ever noticed how much more you get done when you're in a quiet environment? That's the power of solitude. In solitude, you have the chance to reflect on your progress, assess what's working, and adjust what isn't. As the famous Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." How often do we waste time on unnecessary distractions or tasks that don't actually contribute to our success? Solitude helps eliminate this waste. By giving yourself the time and space to focus, you can better prioritize your tasks, work more efficiently, and ultimately achieve more in less time. When you're constantly surrounded by people and stimuli, your brain is in a reactive mode, responding to conversations, interruptions, and other people's needs. But solitude allows you to switch from reacting to others' demands to proactively focusing on your own goals and aspirations. Let's consider a real-world example. Think of some of the most successful people you know, whether it's in business, sports, or the arts. Chances are they all have one thing in common: they carve out time for solitude. Take Bill Gates, for instance, who is known for his Think Weeks, where he isolates himself from the world to read, think, and strategize. It's during these periods of solitude that he comes up with some of his most groundbreaking ideas and solutions. Why? Because in solitude, the brain is free to think deeply and creatively without interruptions. By being alone, Gates can focus entirely on solving complex problems, improving his performance in business. This isn't just a technique for CEOs or entrepreneurs. Anyone can benefit from taking time alone to focus on their goals. In fact, solitude has been shown to boost not only mental performance but physical performance as well. Athletes, for example, often isolate themselves during training periods to focus entirely on their physical and mental preparation. Think of marathon runners, swimmers, or fighters who spend long hours in solitude to sharpen their skills and push their limits. In those quiet moments, away from the distractions of everyday life, they can fully concentrate on their training, reflecting on their weaknesses and building their strengths. This focus leads to improved performance when it matters most: on race day, in the competition, or in the big game. So, how could solitude help improve your performance, whether in your career, your hobbies, or even your physical fitness? Could taking some time alone to focus more deeply on what you want to achieve make the difference? Another way solitude improves personal performance is by reducing stress. When you're constantly surrounded by people, deadlines, and obligations, stress can build up quickly. Solitude gives you the chance to step back, breathe, and recharge your mental batteries. It's in these quiet moments that your body and mind can relax, allowing you to return to your tasks with a renewed sense of energy and focus. As Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic philosopher, once said, Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Taking time to retreat inwardly allows you to calm the noise of everyday life and approach your work with a clearer, more focused mind. And as we all know, when your mind is clear and calm, you perform better. Solitude also encourages self-discipline, which is a crucial component of personal performance. When you are alone, you are solely responsible for managing your time and energy. There's no one to push you, remind you, or distract you. It's just you, and that can be a powerful motivator. You learn to rely on yourself to get things done, which builds both discipline and confidence. Over time, the more you practice working in solitude, the more disciplined you become. This self-discipline then transfers to all areas of your life, helping you perform better at work, in your personal goals, and in any challenges you take on. Do you ever struggle with staying disciplined and focused? Solitude might be the solution you need to sharpen those skills and improve your overall performance. On top of that, solitude fosters creativity, which is an essential ingredient in personal performance. When your mind is free from distractions, it can wander, make connections, and come up with new ideas. Many of the world's greatest innovations have been born out of moments of solitude. Take Albert Einstein, who would often go on long walks alone, letting his mind roam freely. It was during these solitary moments that he had some of his most profound insights into the nature of the universe. By stepping away from the noise of daily life, solitude allows your brain the space it needs to think creatively and solve problems in ways you might not have considered otherwise. 6. Avoids emotional attachments. Let's talk about how solitude can help you avoid unnecessary emotional attachments, a concept that might seem contradictory at first. After all, we are social creatures, right? But the Stoics teach us that the key to emotional balance lies in cultivating self-sufficiency and understanding our own emotions before entangling ourselves with those of others. In today's fast-paced world, filled with distractions, social pressures, and the constant need for validation, emotional attachments can sneak up on us in subtle ways. Whether it's constantly checking for messages from a partner, feeling overwhelmed by the expectations of friends or family, or getting wrapped up in the highs and lows of someone else's drama, these attachments often leave us drained and disconnected from our own inner peace. Solitude, however, offers a remedy. When you embrace moments of quiet and reflection, you are given the space to disentangle yourself from external emotional influences and focus on what truly matters: your own emotional well-being and independence. Think of it this way. When you spend time alone, you're not cutting yourself off from the world, but rather, you're recalibrating. You're learning to distinguish between what you need and what you've been conditioned to think you need. You might believe that constantly being available to others or heavily relying on their emotional support makes you a good friend, partner, or colleague. But this constant emotional entanglement can cloud your own judgment and keep you from living a truly fulfilling life. As Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Solitude allows you to assess your wants, recognize what attachments are truly adding value to your life, and what is simply cluttering your emotional landscape. Let's face it, most of us have experienced emotional attachments that were unhealthy. Perhaps you've been in a relationship where you felt your happiness was tied to the other person's approval or affection. Or maybe you've been so wrapped up in a friendship that you neglected your own personal growth. In these cases, it's easy to lose sight of your own identity, values, and purpose. Solitude offers the perfect space to step back and regain control over your emotions. By regularly spending time alone, you become more attuned to your own thoughts and feelings, rather than being swept up by the emotions of those around you. In solitude, you develop the emotional strength to stand on your own, which helps you avoid falling into the trap of codependency. Ask yourself, have you ever felt emotionally overwhelmed because of someone else's expectations or feelings? Solitude can be your solution for creating healthier boundaries and maintaining emotional clarity. Consider a real-life scenario. Let's take David, a middle-aged man who constantly felt drained by the emotional demands of his family, friends, and colleagues. He was always available, always giving, but rarely took the time to consider his own needs. Over time, this led to burnout and resentment. It wasn't until David started practicing regular moments of solitude, taking long walks alone, meditating, and even going on solo trips, that he realized how much he had been neglecting himself. In solitude, David learned to center himself and recognize the emotional attachments that were no longer serving him. He became more selective about where he invested his energy and began to understand that emotional attachments should be built on mutual respect and support, not dependency. Solitude helped David break free from these draining attachments and ultimately allowed him to form healthier, more balanced relationships. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were giving too much emotionally, with little left for yourself? Solitude could be the key to restoring balance in your life. Solitude doesn't mean avoiding relationships, but it does mean fostering emotional independence. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is that we should not rely on external circumstances for our happiness or peace of mind. When you spend time alone, you strengthen your ability to find contentment within yourself. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In solitude, you get to refine the quality of those thoughts, separating what is truly important from what is fleeting and external. By spending time alone, you become more comfortable with yourself, and this reduces the need to seek constant emotional validation from others. Instead of clinging to relationships out of fear of loneliness or insecurity, you learn to engage with others from a place of strength and independence. This shift in mindset allows for more authentic, fulfilling connections because you are no longer attaching your self-worth to the actions or emotions of others. 7. Greater autonomy. In today's society, where constant connection and busyness are celebrated, many of us forget the value of being able to stand on our own. Autonomy, the ability to make decisions and lead our lives without being overly influenced by others, is a key to personal freedom, and it's something that solitude naturally fosters. When you are alone, you're free from the expectations, opinions, and pressures of those around you. In these quiet moments, you begin to realize that you are capable of making decisions without external input, of shaping your life on your own terms. This autonomy is empowering because it builds confidence in your ability to rely on yourself. As the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Solitude is that retreat, where you can connect with your own thoughts and make decisions that reflect your true self rather than the influence of others. When you think about autonomy, consider the daily pressures we face. For men aged 30 to 65, these can be especially overwhelming, balancing career, family, and social responsibilities while constantly being pulled in different directions. In a world that values opinions and external validation, it's easy to fall into the trap of making choices that please others, rather than ones that serve your own growth and well-being. Solitude strips away the noise of other people's opinions, allowing you to listen to your own inner voice. It's in those moments of solitude that you can reflect on your goals, your values, and the direction of your life, making decisions that are true to you. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the demands of others and wished you could make choices without worrying about how they'd be received? Solitude offers that freedom. It creates a space for you to be in control, making decisions from a place of strength and independence. Consider the story of Thomas, a 50-year-old executive who spent most of his life making decisions based on the expectations of his peers and family. He pursued a career that others deemed prestigious and made life choices that were always about keeping up appearances. But as time went on, Thomas began to feel a deep dissatisfaction. He realized that despite his success, he wasn't living the life he truly wanted. One day, after a particularly stressful week filled with work meetings and family obligations, he decided to take a solo retreat to a remote cabin. For the first time in years, Thomas disconnected from everything: his phone, his responsibilities, and the voices of those around him. In that solitude, he found clarity. He reconnected with his own desires and values, realizing that much of what he had been pursuing wasn't aligned with his true self. By taking time alone, he gained the autonomy to restructure his life, make decisions based on his own needs, and live more authentically. The result? A more fulfilling career, deeper personal relationships, and a sense of peace that had eluded him for years. Thomas's story highlights the power of solitude in fostering greater autonomy, allowing you to make choices that truly serve you rather than those around you. Solitude is where autonomy thrives because it forces you to be the captain of your own ship. When you're alone, there's no one to tell you what to do or how to think. This can feel daunting at first, but over time you learn to trust your instincts, and that self-trust becomes the foundation of autonomy. It's similar to learning how to navigate without a map. You may feel uncertain at first, but as you continue, you realize that you already have the tools to find your way. This self-reliance is crucial not only for personal growth, but also for success in every area of life. As Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Solitude gives you the opportunity to master yourself, to reflect on your decisions, and to strengthen your ability to act without constantly seeking the input or approval of others. In modern life, where there's always pressure to conform, solitude can be your greatest ally in carving out a path that is uniquely your own. Think about how often you make decisions based on what others expect of you. Maybe it's the career you chose, the relationships you maintain, or even the way you spend your free time. We often underestimate how much of our lives are influenced by external forces until we step back and examine our choices in solitude. When you're alone, there's no one to impress. No need to justify your actions and no pressure to conform. You're free to ask yourself, is this truly what I want? Solitude gives you the space to answer that question honestly and act on it. This level of autonomy leads to a deeper sense of satisfaction because you know that the choices you make come from a place of authenticity. 7. Greater autonomy. In today's society where constant connection and busyness are celebrated, many of us forget the value of being able to stand on our own. Autonomy, the ability to make decisions and lead our lives without being overly influenced by others, is a key to personal freedom. And it's something that solitude naturally fosters. When you are alone, you're free from the expectations, opinions, and pressures of those around you. In these quiet moments, you begin to realize that you are capable of making decisions without external input, of shaping your life on your own terms. This autonomy is empowering because it builds confidence in your ability to rely on yourself. As the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Solitude is that retreat, where you can connect with your own thoughts and make decisions that reflect your true self rather than the influence of others. When you think about autonomy, consider the daily pressures we face. For men aged 30 to 65, these can be especially overwhelming, balancing career, family, and social responsibilities while constantly being pulled in different directions. In a world that values opinions and external validation, it's easy to fall into the trap of making choices that please others rather than ones that serve your own growth and well-being. Solitude strips away the noise of other people's opinions, allowing you to listen to your own inner voice. It's in those moments of solitude that you can reflect on your goals, your values, and the direction of your life, making decisions that are true to you. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the demands of others and wished you could make choices without worrying about how they'd be received? Solitude offers that freedom. It creates a space for you to be in control, making decisions from a place of strength and independence. Consider the story of Thomas, a 50-year-old executive who spent most of his life making decisions based on the expectations of his peers and family. He pursued a career that others deemed prestigious and made life choices that were always about keeping up appearances. But as time went on, Thomas began to feel a deep dissatisfaction. He realized that despite his success, he wasn't living the life he truly wanted. One day, after a particularly stressful week, filled with work meetings and family obligations, he decided to take a solo retreat to a remote cabin. For the first time in years, Thomas disconnected from everything: his phone, his responsibilities, and the voices of those around him. In that solitude, he found clarity. He reconnected with his own desires and values, realizing that much of what he had been pursuing wasn't aligned with his true self. By taking time alone, he gained the autonomy to restructure his life, make decisions based on his own needs, and live more authentically. The result? A more fulfilling career, deeper personal relationships, and a sense of peace that had eluded him for years. Thomas's story highlights the power of solitude in fostering greater autonomy, allowing you to make choices that truly serve you rather than those around you. Solitude is where autonomy thrives because it forces you to be the captain of your own ship. When you're alone, there's no one to tell you what to do or how to think. This can feel daunting at first, but over time you learn to trust your instincts, and that self-trust becomes the foundation of autonomy. It's similar to learning how to navigate without a map. You may feel uncertain at first, but as you continue, you realize that you already have the tools to find your way. This self-reliance is crucial, not only for personal growth, but also for success in every area of life. As Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Solitude gives you the opportunity to master yourself, to reflect on your decisions, and to strengthen your ability to act without constantly seeking the input or approval of others. In modern life, where there's always pressure to conform, solitude can be your greatest ally in carving out a path that is uniquely your own. Think about how often you make decisions based on what others expect of you. Maybe it's the career you chose, the relationships you maintain, or even the way you spend your free time. We often underestimate how much of our lives are influenced by external forces until we step back and examine our choices in solitude. When you're alone, there's no one to impress, no need to justify your actions, and no pressure to conform. You're free to ask yourself, is this truly what I want? Solitude gives you the space to answer that question honestly and act on it. This level of autonomy leads to a deeper sense of satisfaction, because you know that the choices you make come from a place of authenticity. You're no longer living someone else's version of success or happiness. You're creating your own. Moreover, solitude helps you build resilience, which is a key component of autonomy. When you spend time alone, you face your thoughts, fears, and challenges head-on without relying on others to distract you or provide comfort. This builds emotional strength and teaches you to be comfortable with discomfort, a skill that's essential for personal autonomy. By learning to navigate your emotions and solve problems on your own, you become less dependent on others for emotional validation or guidance. Over time, this leads to greater self-confidence and a stronger ability to face life's challenges independently. Have you ever found yourself constantly seeking advice or reassurance from others? Solitude allows you to cultivate the inner strength needed to make decisions without always turning to someone else for support. In today's interconnected world, autonomy is often sacrificed for the sake of staying connected, whether through social media, constant communication, or the desire to stay in the loop. But this connectivity can also blur the lines between your own thoughts and the thoughts of others. Solitude offers a necessary break from this, allowing you to clear your mind and reconnect with your own ideas and beliefs. It's like hitting the reset button on your mental state. By regularly practicing solitude, you become more grounded in who you are and what you want, making it easier to resist the pull of external pressures and influences. The result is greater autonomy, living life on your own terms and making decisions that align with your values rather than those imposed by society.
8. Establishes better social bonds. Let's dive into the concept of how solitude can actually help establish better social bonds. At first, it may seem counterintuitive. How can being alone improve your relationships with others?
But when we take a closer look, it becomes clear that solitude is not about distancing yourself from people, but rather about taking the time to reconnect with yourself so you can connect with others more meaningfully. When you regularly spend time alone, you get a chance to reflect on your emotions, understand your own needs, and clarify your personal boundaries. This makes your interactions with others far more authentic and intentional. You stop being reactive, and you start being more deliberate with how you engage socially. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you spend time in solitude, you can better shape those thoughts, allowing you to approach your relationships with more clarity, understanding, and empathy. Solitude offers the opportunity to recharge emotionally, which is crucial in today's world. We're all so caught up in constant interaction, whether it's through social media, work, or personal obligations, that it's easy to feel drained. Have you ever found yourself feeling exhausted after too much socializing, even with people you enjoy being around? Solitude helps remedy this. By spending time alone, you give yourself the space to process your emotions, reflect on your experiences, and replenish your energy. When you do re-engage with others, you bring a more grounded and centered version of yourself to the table. This makes your social interactions richer and more meaningful, because you're not approaching them from a place of emotional depletion. Have you noticed that when you're well-rested and emotionally recharged, you're more present and open to deepening connections? That's the benefit of solitude working its magic. One example from modern life that perfectly illustrates this is the practice of solo travel. Many people have found that taking time away from their daily social environments, exploring new places alone, helps them reconnect not only with themselves, but also with the world around them. Take Sarah, for instance, a woman in her 40s who always surrounded herself with people, family, friends, colleagues, yet still felt a deep sense of disconnection. One day she decided to take a solo trip to a small town by the coast, away from the hustle and bustle. During this time, she spent her days reflecting, journaling, and simply being in her own company. When Sarah returned, something had shifted. She felt more confident in her own skin, more in tune with her emotions, and surprisingly, more eager to reconnect with her loved ones. Her relationships improved because she had taken the time to establish a better relationship with herself. Solitude had helped her gain perspective on what truly mattered in her relationships, allowing her to engage more deeply with others when she returned. When you give yourself the gift of solitude, you also develop a deeper sense of empathy for others. By spending time reflecting on your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, you become more attuned to the complexities of human emotion. Solitude teaches you patience, both with yourself and with those around you. As Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In solitude, you learn to listen to your inner voice, which in turn makes you a better listener in your interactions with others. You're not just waiting for your turn to speak or react. You're genuinely engaged in understanding the other person's perspective. This deepened sense of empathy can transform your social bonds, helping you connect on a more profound level. Another significant benefit of solitude is that it allows you to be more selective about the relationships you maintain. When you spend time alone, you gain clarity about who you are, what you value, and what you need from your relationships. You become less likely to engage in superficial or draining interactions and more focused on cultivating meaningful connections. Have you ever felt like you were maintaining friendships out of habit rather than genuine connection? Solitude gives you the space to evaluate those relationships and determine which ones are truly nourishing and which ones may need to be redefined or released. By doing so, you free up emotional and mental energy to invest in the relationships that truly matter. 9. Develops emotional resilience. Let's explore how solitude helps develop emotional resilience, a skill that is crucial in today's fast-paced, ever-changing world. When we talk about emotional resilience, we're referring to the ability to bounce back from life's challenges and maintain a sense of inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. Solitude, far from being something to fear or avoid, is one of the most effective ways to build that resilience. When you take time alone, away from the demands, pressures, and expectations of others, You create a space for self-reflection, which is the foundation of emotional resilience. It allows you to confront your thoughts, process your emotions, and understand your reactions without the noise of the outside world clouding your judgment. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Solitude is the space where you can shape and improve the quality of those thoughts, learning how to control your emotional responses rather than letting them control you. Think about how often we're faced with stressful situations, at work, in our relationships, or just in navigating the unpredictability of daily life. In these moments, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or even defeated. But solitude offers you the opportunity to pause and regain your emotional balance. Have you ever noticed how a few moments of quiet reflection can bring a sense of calm and clarity? This is because, in solitude, you give yourself the time to step back from the chaos and assess the situation from a more grounded perspective. You're not reacting impulsively or emotionally. Instead, you're responding with intention. This ability to step back and reflect is the cornerstone of emotional resilience. It's what allows you to handle life's inevitable ups and downs with grace and strength. Let's consider a real-world example. Take Sam, a man in his early 50s, who faced a series of difficult life events, a job loss, a strained marriage, and health problems all within a short period. Sam felt like his world was falling apart, and he was constantly on edge, reacting emotionally to everything. One day, after reaching a breaking point, Sam decided to carve out time for solitude. He started by taking daily walks in the park, leaving his phone behind and simply allowing himself to be alone with his thoughts. Over time, these moments of solitude became his refuge, a space where he could process his emotions without external pressure. As Sam embraced solitude, he found that he was better able to cope with his challenges. He became more emotionally resilient, no longer reacting out of anger or frustration, but instead approaching each problem with a calm, measured response. Solitude gave him the mental space to reflect, recover, and regain control of his emotions. Have you ever faced a situation where you felt overwhelmed, but a quiet moment alone helped you regain your footing? That's the power of solitude in developing emotional resilience. In solitude, you also have the opportunity to confront difficult emotions head-on, which is a critical part of building resilience. It's common for people to avoid uncomfortable feelings, whether it's fear, sadness, or frustration, by distracting themselves with social interactions, work, or entertainment. But emotional avoidance only prolongs the discomfort and prevents growth. When you're alone, there's no one to distract you from your thoughts, which means you're forced to face them. And while this can feel uncomfortable at first, it's incredibly empowering. By confronting your emotions directly, you learn to process and manage them more effectively. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Solitude helps you strengthen that reaction by teaching you how to handle your emotions with maturity and resilience. Moreover, solitude builds emotional resilience by fostering self-reliance. In moments of solitude, you learn to trust yourself more deeply. You stop depending on others to validate your feelings or provide you with solutions to your problems. Instead, you develop the confidence to navigate your emotional landscape on your own. This self-reliance is crucial for emotional resilience because it ensures that no matter what life throws at you, you'll be able to handle it from a place of inner strength. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt emotionally dependent on others to get through tough times? Solitude teaches you that while support from others is valuable, your greatest source of strength lies within. If you've made it this far, you're already embracing the power of solitude. Drop a comment saying, "Solitude is my strength," to show your commitment to mastering this journey. Stick around, because the best insights are yet to come. 10. Improves decision-making. Let's talk about how solitude can significantly improve your decision-making skills, a benefit that often goes unnoticed in today's busy world. In an age where distractions are constant and we're inundated with information and opinions, the ability to make clear, confident decisions has become more valuable than ever. Solitude is one of the most effective tools for sharpening your decision-making ability because it allows you to step away from external influences and focus entirely on your own thoughts, values, and needs. When you spend time alone, you create the space to think deeply and reflect on the choices in front of you. You gain clarity, which is essential for making decisions that align with your true desires and goals. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "No man was ever wise by chance." Wisdom, and in turn, good decision-making, comes from reflection and introspection, both of which are nurtured in solitude. In solitude, you're free from the noise of other people's opinions and the pressures of societal expectations. This independence is crucial for making decisions that are authentic to you. When you're constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to be swayed by their advice, their judgments, and even their emotions. Have you ever made a decision because it felt like what others wanted, only to realize later that it wasn't the right choice for you? Solitude gives you the opportunity to strip away these external influences and focus on what you truly want. It's in these quiet moments that you can weigh your options more clearly, without the distraction of trying to meet other people's expectations. You can ask yourself, is this decision aligned with my values and long-term goals? And come to a conclusion that is genuinely yours. Let's consider a modern example. Think about someone who has an important career decision to make. Maybe they're deciding whether to switch jobs, start a new business, or take on a significant project. It's easy to get caught up in what friends, family, or colleagues think. Everyone has an opinion, and while some of that advice may be valuable, it can also cloud your own judgment. Now picture this person taking a step back, spending a few days in solitude, perhaps hiking in nature or retreating to a quiet space at home. During this time, they're not bombarded with external input. Instead, they're given the space to think deeply about their own goals, values, and what they truly want for their future. When they return to their decision, they approach it with clarity and confidence, making a choice that is true to themselves. Have you ever been in a situation where stepping away from the noise helped you make a clearer, more confident decision? That's the power of solitude at work. Solitude also gives you the time and space to consider all aspects of a decision without the rush of external deadlines or the pressure to respond quickly. In the hustle and bustle of everyday life, decisions are often made on the fly, driven by urgency rather than careful thought. However, when you set aside time for solitude, you allow yourself to slow down and think things through. This is especially important for major life decisions, whether it's a career move, a financial investment, or a personal relationship. Solitude provides the mental space to carefully evaluate your options, think through potential consequences, and weigh the risks and rewards. As Epictetus said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Solitude teaches us that there is always more to consider, more to reflect on, and more wisdom to be gained before making a decision. Moreover, solitude helps you strengthen your intuition, which plays a crucial role in decision-making. Intuition is that inner voice or gut feeling that guides us, often when logic alone can't provide a clear answer. But in a world filled with noise, it's easy to lose touch with your intuition. Solitude, however, reconnects you with that inner guide. When you spend time alone, away from distractions and outside opinions, you can tune into your own instincts. You become more attuned to what feels right for you, rather than what seems logical based on external advice. Have you ever noticed that your best decisions often come from a combination of logic and intuition? Solitude strengthens this balance, allowing you to make decisions that are both well thought out and deeply aligned with your inner truth. Additionally, solitude gives you the mental clarity to avoid impulsive decisions. In our fast-paced world, we're often pressured to make quick decisions without fully thinking them through. This can lead to choices that we later regret. Solitude, on the other hand, creates the space to step back and avoid reacting impulsively. By taking time alone to reflect, you give yourself the opportunity to let emotions settle and approach the decision from a place of calm and clarity. This prevents the kind of snap judgments that can result from stress, fear, or pressure. Have you ever made a hasty decision, only to regret it later? Solitude helps you slow down and ensure that your decisions are thoughtful and well considered. 11. Increases gratitude and well-being. In our modern world where we're constantly bombarded with noise, distractions, and the endless demands of daily life, it can be difficult to feel a deep sense of gratitude. We rush from one thing to the next, always thinking about the future or dwelling on the past. But when you allow yourself moments of solitude, everything slows down. You're no longer in a hurry to keep up with external expectations, and suddenly, you have the time and space to notice the small but significant things in your life that often go unnoticed. Solitude gives you the opportunity to reflect on what truly matters, and in these moments of reflection, gratitude naturally begins to surface. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Solitude helps you reconnect with the present, allowing you to see the value in what you already have, rather than constantly seeking more. When you take time to be alone, you create a space for self-awareness. In this space, you become more attuned to the blessings in your life, whether it's your health, relationships, or simply the beauty of a quiet moment. Have you ever sat alone in nature or in a quiet room and suddenly felt overwhelmed by gratitude for the simplest things? A soft breeze, a warm cup of tea, or the fact that you have time to rest? These feelings of gratitude are often drowned out in the busyness of everyday life, but solitude brings them to the forefront. By allowing yourself moments of solitude, you give yourself the gift of perspective. You start to see that the things that truly bring you happiness and fulfillment are often the things you already have. This shift in perspective leads to a deeper sense of well-being because gratitude and contentment are closely linked. When you're grateful, you feel more at peace with your life as it is, rather than feeling constantly driven by a need for more. Let's look at an example from modern life. Take Mike, a man in his mid-40s, who spends his days working long hours, chasing career goals, and trying to meet the expectations of others. He's always busy, and despite his success, he often feels dissatisfied, like something is missing. One day, feeling particularly stressed, he decides to take a break and spend a weekend alone at a quiet cabin. During that time, without the usual distractions of work or social obligations, Mike begins to notice things he hadn't paid attention to in years. He watches the sunrise, feels the calm of being disconnected from the digital world, and reflects on the relationships and experiences that have shaped his life. As the weekend progresses, he realizes how much he has to be grateful for: his health, his family, his achievements. And this shift in mindset leaves him feeling more grounded and content. When he returns to his daily life, he carries with him a renewed sense of gratitude and well-being that transforms how he approaches both work and relationships. Have you ever experienced a moment where stepping back from the rush of life helped you appreciate the things you often take for granted? That's the power of solitude in cultivating gratitude. Gratitude isn't just about being thankful for the good things in life. It's also about developing the resilience to appreciate the challenges and difficulties we face. In solitude, you have the chance to reflect on the hardships you've endured and recognize how they've contributed to your personal growth. This kind of reflection is difficult when you're constantly surrounded by distractions or other people's opinions. But when you're alone, you can look at your life with greater clarity and see how even the most painful experiences have shaped you into who you are today. This reflection fosters a sense of gratitude for life's ups and downs, knowing that both the good and the bad have contributed to your overall well-being. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In solitude, you have the opportunity to elevate the quality of your thoughts by focusing on gratitude and appreciation rather than dwelling on what's lacking. Moreover, Solitude helps you cultivate a sense of inner peace and contentment that contributes to your overall well-being. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, whether it's the noise of social media, work, or social interactions, it's easy to feel disconnected from yourself. This disconnection often leads to feelings of dissatisfaction or restlessness. But when you take time to be alone, you reconnect with your inner self. In this state of connection, you realize that your well-being doesn't depend on external factors like material success or social approval. Instead, it comes from within. You begin to appreciate the value of solitude itself, the quiet moments where you can simply be without needing to achieve, impress, or perform. This realization brings a deep sense of well-being, as you come to understand that true happiness is not found in external accomplishments, but in your ability to find peace and gratitude within yourself. Solitude also helps you develop a sense of mindfulness, which further enhances your well-being. In solitude, you have the time and space to practice being present with your thoughts, emotions, and surroundings. This mindfulness allows you to fully experience the richness of each moment, rather than constantly thinking about what's next. As you become more mindful, you start to appreciate the simple pleasures in life, things that you may have overlooked in your busy daily routine. This appreciation leads to a greater sense of gratitude, as you become more aware of the many small joys that make up your day-to-day life. Have you ever noticed how much more peaceful you feel after spending time in a quiet, mindful state? That peace comes from being fully present, and solitude is the perfect environment for cultivating that presence. So how can you begin incorporating more solitude into your life to increase gratitude and well-being? It doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. Start by setting aside just 10 to 15 minutes each day to sit quietly with your thoughts, without distractions. During this time, reflect on the things in your life that you're grateful for, no matter how small. Over time, you'll find that these moments of solitude help you develop a habit of gratitude that extends into every area of your life. You'll begin to notice the things you once took for granted, and this awareness will bring a greater sense of contentment and well-being. 12. Fosters creativity. In a society that prizes busyness and multitasking, the idea of stepping away from the noise and distractions might seem counterproductive, but it's actually one of the most effective ways to tap into your creative potential. When you're alone, free from the demands and expectations of others, your mind has the space to wander, reflect, and make connections that might not happen in a crowded, busy environment. Creativity thrives in these moments of solitude because you're not being pulled in different directions by external input. You have the freedom to explore your thoughts and ideas without interruption. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Solitude is that retreat, where creativity can flourish without limitations. When you allow yourself time alone, you're giving your brain the opportunity to rest from the constant stream of information that bombards us daily. This rest is crucial for creativity. Have you ever noticed how some of your best ideas come to you when you're not actively trying to solve a problem, like when you're in the shower taking a walk or drifting off to sleep? That's because in moments of solitude, your brain can process information in the background, making connections and generating insights that aren't always possible when you're distracted by the outside world. In solitude, your mind becomes a fertile ground for new ideas, allowing you to see things from different perspectives and come up with solutions that might not have been obvious in a busy, noisy environment. Consider the lives of some of history's greatest creators. Many of them intentionally sought out solitude to foster their creativity. Think of Albert Einstein, who famously valued his alone time and used it to reflect on complex scientific problems. Or consider writers like Virginia Woolf, who would retreat to a quiet room to work on her groundbreaking novels. These individuals knew that solitude was not just a luxury, but a necessity for their creative processes. They understood that creativity requires deep focus and uninterrupted time to explore new ideas. Have you ever experienced a breakthrough idea or creative inspiration when you were alone, free from distractions? That's the power of solitude at work. giving your mind the space it needs to generate something original and meaningful. Solitude also fosters creativity by allowing you to dive deeper into your passions and interests. When you're alone, you can fully immerse yourself in whatever creative endeavor you're working on, without the pressure of meeting someone else's expectations or deadlines. Whether it's writing, painting, solving a complex problem, or simply brainstorming new ideas, solitude gives you the freedom to experiment, make mistakes, and follow your curiosity wherever it leads. There's no one around to judge your process, so you can take risks and explore new possibilities without fear of failure. This creative freedom is essential because it allows you to push boundaries and think outside the box. Have you ever felt more creative when you weren't worried about pleasing others or meeting deadlines? That's the gift of solitude. It provides a safe space to explore your ideas without constraints. In addition to sparking creativity, solitude also helps you refine your ideas. It's one thing to come up with a great idea, but it's another to develop and refine it into something truly valuable. When you're alone, you have the time and space to think critically about your ideas, to tweak and improve them until they're ready to be shared with the world. This process of reflection is crucial for creativity because it helps you identify what's working and what needs improvement. Without solitude, it's easy to rush through the creative process and miss opportunities to make your work even better. As the philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In solitude, you learn to listen to your inner voice, refining your creative ideas before presenting them to the world. Another way solitude fosters creativity is by removing external influences, allowing you to develop a more authentic and original voice. In a world where we're constantly bombarded by other people's opinions, ideas, and expectations, it's easy to lose sight of our own unique perspectives. But when you spend time alone, away from the noise, you have the chance to reconnect with your true self and express your creativity in a way that is authentic to you. This is especially important in today's hyper-connected world, where it can feel like everyone is trying to be like everyone else. Solitude gives you the space to develop your own voice and vision, free from the pressure to conform to societal norms or trends. Have you ever found that your best creative work comes when you're not trying to impress others or fit in, but simply expressing yourself authentically? Solitude makes that kind of creativity possible by giving you the space to be yourself. 13. Redirect the course of your life. Let's dive into the powerful benefit of how solitude can redirect the course of your life. In our fast-paced, noisy world, it's easy to get swept up in the current, moving along with the momentum of daily responsibilities, external expectations, and societal pressures. But when you take a step back and embrace solitude, you create a space to reassess where you're heading. Solitude offers you the opportunity to pause, reflect, and evaluate whether the direction you're moving in truly aligns with your deeper values and aspirations. As Seneca once wisely said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Without the quiet time to reflect on your goals and dreams, you can easily end up drifting, living a life shaped by the demands of others rather than your own intentions. Solitude is that rare moment when you can disconnect from the constant noise, social media, work stress, and the endless stream of other people's opinions, and reconnect with your true self. Have you ever felt like you were just going through the motions, unsure if you were on the right path but too caught up in the whirlwind of life to pause and ask yourself the important questions? That's where solitude steps in as a vital tool. It creates the mental and emotional space for you to question your life's trajectory, to reconsider your choices, and to decide whether you want to continue down the same road or forge a new path. In solitude, you can find clarity about what truly matters to you and what changes need to be made to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. Have you ever taken a step back, away from the hustle, and suddenly realized that you've been pursuing goals that weren't even yours to begin with? That's the transformative power of solitude at work, helping you redirect your life toward something that feels authentic. Take the story of Robert, a successful corporate executive in his early 50s. On the outside, Robert had it all: money, status, and the admiration of his peers. But internally he felt disconnected and unfulfilled. His life had been consumed by his career, and he rarely had time to think about what he actually wanted for himself. One weekend, Robert decided to spend time alone at a cabin in the woods with no phone, no emails, and no meetings to attend. In that solitude, he began to reflect on his life, realizing that he had been living according to what others expected of him, rather than what he truly desired. He had been climbing a corporate ladder that led to success in the eyes of society, but not in his own heart. That weekend of solitude gave Robert the clarity and courage to make a change. He redirected his life, stepping away from the corporate world to pursue a passion for mentoring young entrepreneurs. Solitude allowed him to shift course, and as a result, he found deeper meaning and satisfaction. How many of us are like Robert, moving through life based on what others expect of us, never stopping to consider if we're truly happy with where we're headed? Solitude gives you the chance to hear your own voice again. In a world where we are constantly influenced by the opinions of others, family, friends, society, it's easy to lose sight of what we really want. We start living by default, making choices that align with what we think we should do, rather than what we truly desire. But in the quiet of solitude, you can ask yourself the important questions. What do I want out of life? What changes do I need to make to live more authentically? Am I on the right path, or do I need to course correct? These are the kinds of reflections that can only happen when you remove yourself from the distractions of daily life and create space for honest self-examination. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Solitude helps you become the master of your own life, making intentional choices rather than drifting along with the current. In modern life, we are taught to always be moving, always be productive. The idea of stepping back and spending time alone can seem counterintuitive, but it's actually one of the most powerful ways to change the direction of your life. When you're constantly in motion, reacting to the demands of the outside world, it's difficult to see the bigger picture. But solitude allows you to zoom out and gain perspective on your life as a whole. You can see where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go. It's in these quiet moments that the seeds of transformation are planted. You begin to realize that you have the power to change the direction of your life at any moment, and that realization can be incredibly liberating. Have you ever felt stuck, like you were on a path that wasn't leading you where you wanted to go, but unsure of how to change it? Solitude gives you the clarity and the courage to make that shift. One of the greatest gifts of solitude is that it helps you reconnect with your core values. In the busyness of life, it's easy to lose touch with what really matters to you. You may find yourself pursuing goals that don't align with your values simply because you've been caught up in the momentum of doing what's expected. But solitude offers you the opportunity to reflect on what's truly important. It allows you to realign your actions with your values, so that the direction you're heading in life is one that feels meaningful and purposeful. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In solitude, you have the chance to carefully consider your thoughts, your desires, and your goals, and to ensure that your life is aligned with the person you want to become. As we've explored today, solitude is not something to fear, but rather a powerful tool for self-discovery, growth, and transformation. The 13 benefits of solitude can truly redirect the course of your life, giving you clarity, emotional strength, and a deeper sense of purpose. By embracing these moments alone, you become more connected with yourself and more in control of your journey. Remember, as the great Stoic Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Use your solitude to shape your thoughts and, in turn, shape your life in a way that aligns with your deepest values. If you found this video helpful and want to continue learning how Stoic principles can improve your life, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Stoic in Your Life channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos, where we'll continue exploring how to live a more intentional, empowered life through Stoicism. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.